Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing something very exciting, something I've never done on any car. Have you ever wanted to tow something with your BMW sedan? Well, today we are going to be installing the Stealth tow hitch on this M340i. This is a G20. Now, many of you are probably already asking, hey Evan, why aren't you doing the OEM retrofit? Two reasons. The OEM retrofit wasn't offered in the United States. It wasn't for the sedan. And thirdly, the hitch sizes in Europe, I believe the ball is like 1 7/8, where in the US it's 2 inches. So today we are going to be going over installing a Stealth tow hitch, and I'll have it linked down below if you guys are interested on this M340i. This is kind of a video that would work for any BMW, but we're going to do it on this car today, and then this will be a two-parter. We're actually doing this, we're installing this to go pick up some really cool parts for both this car and my X3 M40i, so we need to tow a small trailer, so you'll be getting some footage of that. But today, we're going to go over the parts, show you how to install it, and hopefully not make any mistakes. Before starting the installation, we're going to go over the parts that are included. Stealth Hitches sells two different packages. They sell the rack and tow combo, which we have here. This is the tow combo. The rack we're actually still waiting for in the mail. It will be here tomorrow, but we wanted to get started with the wiring. So really, you want to get the rack and tow combo. However, if you just get the rack, you will get the mounting piece that goes to the car as well as a receiver, but you will not get the 2-inch tow hook and you will not get the wiring. So really today, we're going to work on getting the wiring done.
All right, guys, we're going to get started on the disassembly of the trunk interior. We're going to take off this plastic panel here and the two felt panels on the sides. We're only going to show this side because they're basically the same. And we're also going to take off these plastic pieces on top, and then we'll have access to take off everything to remove the bumper.
This plastic trim piece right here was difficult for us to get up. There was only 1, 2, 3, 4 plastic clips that came out, and then what we had to do is we had to pull up on it. It feels like you're going to break it. Don't pull out like this. Try to pull up like this if possible.
All right, so we had to put the rear seats forward just so we can slide it out. But now that everything's taken off, pretty much just pull it out. Looks like I forgot one clip. Looks like I forgot 2 clips. There we are. And now, pretty sure we just pull up on this guy.
Be very careful with this piece.
Yeah.
I actually broke these clips before.
Yeah, mine's broken. I'm pretty sure I had this off before and it already broke. But the other one isn't broken, and it slides this way, outwards. And this one the forward one slides forward. So you can kind of try to finagle it out of there with that information.
So now that we have the carpet's off, we have access to be able to remove the taillights. If you look straight in there, where Matt's pointing the gun, it's kind of hard to see, there's one 8mm nut that is holding in the taillight, and then over here, and here, there are two more 10mm nuts as well holding in the taillight, and then one plug. It's really nice if you have these ratcheting wrenches like we have to be able to get in there. Makes your life a lot easier. I'll have these specific ones linked down below in the description. Taillight slides out very easily on this model. Some BMWs are really tricky. And there's a clip that you pull towards yourself.
Then push in. Then pull out. All done.
Next, while you're in here, this is technically one of the bumper screws, or bumper bolts rather, but we're gonna take it out while we're in here. It's just another 10mm head. Yeah, just while you're in here, it makes sense to just pull it out now. It's not really holding the bumper in too much. We're gonna work on the wheel well next, so we probably wanna take off the tire and the fender liner next. So we went ahead and removed the tire, and now we're going to remove some of these 10mm bolts to gain access. There's one bolt up here that's holding in the bumper, so you don't need to take this fender liner fully off. We did that on the other side, but on this side we realized we can just do a few, probably 5 or 6, and then we can pull back and gain access to that bolt.
All right, now we're gonna go under the bumper and take off all these screws that hold it on. There's a bunch of them, so we're not gonna show the whole process. But you take all these off, and then we'll be almost done and ready to take the bumper off. Just pull out.
All right, so it's time to take off the bumper. We undid the two 10mm bolts here and here near the taillights, and then we also did the T20s that sit up like this on the bumper, and now we're gonna pull down and pull out.
Pull away.
Down and out.
Just out. It's pretty hard.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so we got to take off this plastic bumper mounting piece here in order to get to the wiring harness behind it. I've marked all of the washers and the plastic with some black Sharpie or tape pen, paint pen, so that hopefully we can put it back in the exact same spot. It does line up perfectly with the body of the car, so it should be fine, and we shouldn't have any problems with bumper realignment. But just to be safe, they're 10 mils, and then we got to take off the blind spot monitor, which looks like it just kind of slides out. But let's take these off first, and then we'll get to that. All right, so next we're gonna take off this plastic piece that all the PDC stuff mounts to, and we're also gonna undo the two bolts that have the exhaust hangers on them, because this whole rear reinforcement bar and bash bar is getting replaced, and that's gonna be our frame for the new Stealth hitch. And I put a jack stand under the exhaust so it doesn't hang too low. So now we're going to take off the bolts that hold in the bash bar, or nuts actually. They are 18 millimeters. You're going to need a deep well for this.
All right, everyone, it's the next day. We are going to install the trailer hitch bracket. So this was a second package that came today. So the main bracket is right here. We have some exhaust brackets that we'll have to utilize. We have a 2-inch receiver that could be used for a bike rack or something. Very important that it says not for towing. And lastly, we have the stainless steel hitch block right here that's part of the stealth system. All right, so off camera, we got the hitch frame mounted up. Only goes on one way, and then we were messing around with these are the exhaust brackets. So you put the hitch frame on, then we have the bolt here, and the exhaust bracket goes on like that. Here's a pretty nice image. So they include this in the, when you buy it, the install instructions, they include a nice image like that. So that's kind of what you're doing. So that's how it's installed right now. And we're gonna tighten it down to 85 foot-pounds. So make sure you guys have a torque wrench handy to tighten all four. And these do have some play in it, as I mentioned. I think we're just gonna try to level out the exhaust and get it as close to the middle as we can. So we are now going to mount the exhaust into the stealth hitch bracket right here. It includes a bolt and a nut. The exhaust bracket has a metal dowel right here that lines up into place, and then you put the bolt into place. So make sure the bolt's feeding up this way. $10 mil? Half-inch. The included hardware are both half-inch bolts. So we now just put back the plastic trunk release panel. We are going to utilize new hardware that's included. So there is a bolt with a washer, put the bolt and washer on the front, and the nut on the rear. And then right here, we have the OEM plastic rivet. So here and here, you're going to use the OEM plastic rivet. It is tough to get in. You may want to use a little hammer to kind of just smack it in, but it will go in. So that's how this piece is secured. And then you will also put back, if you have the trunk release, this is the wire and connector for the trunk release. So make sure you connect that back up. Again, that's only if you have the automatic foot release for your trunk. So right now is probably one of the scariest parts doing this install. We are going to, well, rather Matt is going to drill a small pilot hole into the car, making sure that we don't hit any wires. Basically what we did is we started with a pick and poked straight through something really small, and we're drilling on the bottom side. I know you can't see it, but like under this connector is where we're drilling, and we're just starting with a small drill bit and working our way up to a larger drill bit. It looks like we're going to be drilling to 3/8. So now we're using a piece of wire as a snake tied to the main trailer hitch harness shown, and we're using a little bit of WD-40 to ease it through. Remember, the grommet is rubber, so we can manipulate it a little bit to force something bigger through. So Matt ended up using a 5/16 bit instead of 3/8 to make it a super tight fit, so we don't need to weather seal it. We'll probably do something just in case, but smart idea to go a little under and just really yank it through to make it nice and tight. Okay, so we just installed the power module. We did something a little different than what the instructions sent. What we did is we utilized the factory ground point right here. So it's really interesting inside this kit. Essentially, black is power, white is ground. So we'll talk about what we did. we used the OEM ground spot right there. I'll have these linked down below if you want to do that. And then we also took black, which is power, to a tap fuse, and we ran it to this open fuse right here, which is a 20 amp fuse. Alternatively, you can run it to the battery here and here. They include these little terminals right here that actually just like loop onto the battery. They include that, and they also include a inline fuse that you could use for the power. We're BMW guys. We know these cars really well, and we thought, hey, we can do it a little better for our application. So we used the 20 amp fuse, so we're retaining the same amp rating that the stealth hitches want. And then right here is where we tapped in our turn signal. So yellow goes to green/blue, which you can see right there. Green goes to green/gray, which you can see right there. Brown goes to gray/yellow or purple/red. I hope I got that right. However, take a look at your instructions. Here are instructions right here that talk about everything that you're going to use. Red, it says, is not utilized. Also, if the two colors are listed, the first color is dominant, so keep that in mind. So it's red, blue, or sorry, green, blue, green, gray, gray, yellow. And yeah, it looks pretty clean how we did it this way. The next thing that we have to do is connect these two pieces right here. So this is the harness coming into the car, and these are the ones coming from the power module right here. So we're going to use the butt connectors and get that going. If you guys have any questions about how we did our wiring and why we did it the way we did, or anything linked down below, we'll have all the products. So if you want to buy these ground taps right here, they're an OEM BMW part, you will need a crimper, or if you want to buy this tap fuse right here that we use, just making it look a lot cleaner for our application. So we went ahead and used the little butt connectors. So you crimp them and use some heat, because there's heat shrink as well around the outsides, and we just matched up the color wires on this side to that side. Yes, they don't perfectly match, but there's a strip of a color that will match. So red to red, green to green. So just look for the color strip. And then we have the grommet running out there, so we'll pull out some slack. But yeah, that's what it looks like crimped together.
All right, so we're going to install the latch now. And as you can see here, this ear is for the chain hookup on each side, and that's going to go on the outside of these two slots. And this latch just goes in the middle. So let's put it in. And you have to put this on beforehand so that you can use this latch. It's a nice snug fit. Just like that. Put this on this side. And it should give enough room for us to access this lock, no problems. And these are 15/16 nut and bolt. And we're going to tighten these down to 150 foot-pounds.
All right, so what we did is we took the trailer harness and we ran some zip ties around, and then we actually integrated into the factory this plastic piece right here. We ran it behind, and then eventually terminating right here. There's this nice little magnet piece that we put on, so they include it. It's plastic to magnet, and you can just clip it on there, so it has a nice little handy spot to go when you're not using it. We put on the connector cap, and yeah, everything is back together. Or the stealth hitch is assembled. We did test the ball to make sure it worked. That's all working. Really, what's left is just putting the car back together. So we have to put this piece back on, and the interior, and the bumper, obviously. There is one more piece that we do believe we need to cut. There's this plastic piece that kind of goes down here. We'll get to that in a minute, but we do believe that we need to cut it according to the instructions. All right, so we're gonna throw you guys in a time lapse. The reassembly of the car is essentially the same. If we get to the piece down here that we need to cut, we'll obviously show that, but it's same as disassembly. All right, guys, so one of the last steps to installation of this Stealth hitch is actually cutting out this plastic piece that was removed. You can see the perforated marks is the factory one if you were to have a wagon and use the factory cutout, but in this case, the Stealth only needs something like this. We kind of followed they include a diagram right there, and we're kind of following it as best we can. We're probably just going to use a razor blade knife to cut it out. Doesn't really need a Dremel, we don't think, but we'll see. And then the other thing, make sure you do not cut here and here. We want to leave all the factory holes. Boom! And just like that, guys, the Stealth hitch is installed, and oh my God, is it cool. So right now we have the 2-inch receiver on it, and we have the electrical outlet chilling out there with the magnetic little tie down, which is super cool. It really is stealth. When it's removed, you cannot see anything. We will next include a video of us towing with it, but this was just the installation video. If you guys have any questions at all, let us know down in the comments below. One thing major thing that we forgot to note, make sure you disconnect your battery when you're working with anything electrical on BMWs, or any car for that matter, but BMWs are especially sensitive. So that's the last note. If you guys are looking to pick up this product, I'll have it linked down below, and stay tuned so you guys can see when we tow something very special with it for both of our BMWs. Super excited to what is going to come in the future. Stick around